Good evening, and thank you for joining the Voice of Many podcast with your hosts, Yolanda and Vanessa. We are excited to have with us today Miss Angie Weber. She comes to us, has spent many years um, helping educate and empower busy moms on how natural products can benefit not just the mom, but the family. She's taking her own personal journey of healing and the resources and the tools that she used to bring her core to full circle. And so she also has the ability to help um, parents to understand and know what their struggles are and how to be able to um, control those feelings that not just they're having, but the kids as well. She's here to just help educate and highlight us on how natural products really help. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, for having me on tonight. I'm super excited to share this information with you and talk about natural products and then also some other therapeutic techniques that you can apply into your home to better manage emotions and kind of change that conversation around mental health with our children.
Oh, good. So, just how do the natural products work with all of this? Can you highlight on that?
Absolutely. So I have been for the last 6 years educating people about natural products, mostly focused on essential oils. Now, when my kids were about 1 year old, I decided to kind of start doing some more digging because I was the mom in the Target aisle looking at like all the different products and trying to figure out, well, is this one natural or is this one better? So I spent a lot of time in those aisles. And as I started digging in more, I was realizing all the different kind of toxins that we were bringing into our homes through a lot of the stuff that we get at the store, which of course we're taught how to do that, right? Like we're marketed to it. We do what our parents do. I mean, Tide is a great example. A lot of people use Tide because that's what their mom used and their mom before them and so on and so on. And so I really wanted my kids to be more proactive with their health. And again, they were very young at this time, but as I was learning more and more about toxins, I was at first really intrigued just for the physical aspect of it, of really trying to clean those out, hopefully avoiding long-term health effects, things like that. And, growing up, which again, I think a lot of people are in this situation where we're very reactive about our health. So we have
Mhm.
a stomach ache, now let's take care of it. We have a headache, like let's take something now. And instead, I really wanted to teach my kids at a very young age how to use natural products as kind of their first line of defense. And so, I mean, my kids now, we're again up in Minnesota, so we have tons of mosquitoes, and my daughter knows exactly where to find the lavender for that because it's really replenishing and it's a natural antihistamine. And so it was really important that I try to, again, give them those tools so it became second nature to them. I think modern medicine is amazing. There's definitely a time and place for it, but if we can avoid some of those doctor visits and some of those sicknesses, I am
Mhm.
all for it. So yeah, I went around after I quit my full-time job in marketing. I went full time into educating people about essential oils and other products they can just swap because moms are busy. They need something simple and easy. And there was so much information out there about stuff that I was like, you can get lost in the rabbit hole of Google. So we need to try and make this simple for them. Fast forward a few years, and I had gone through some personal trauma and I had been kind of on my healing journey for that as well. And so that's when I was really using more of the natural products on the emotional and mental level as well, because for example, when we smell an essential oil, it can affect our mood really quickly because what's happening is when we smell it, which is our strongest sense, it works with the olfactory bulb in our nose, which sends signals to our brain that deals with the emotions and mood part. And so just by smelling something, for example, like wild orange can help you have an uplifted attitude very quickly because of how fast they work. And so again, now tying in kind of that physical aspect and also that emotional and mental aspect too, with using and kind of detoxing the world around us.
Mm.
I want to say that my husband and I both have what do you call it? They're like you
The
put
aroma.
the aromatherapy. I
Yeah.
have one in the kitchen for myself, and he has one in his office.
Oh, like a
And
diffuser?
yes,
Yep.
we both have one, and it helps, especially like if everyone has a stuffy nose. I'm using either mint and tea tree oil, and sometimes I use a little bit of orange, or I'll go and get anything that I know of that has like a peppermint scent, and
Oh,
it normally helps the house. The kids like it because they're like, oh, what scents can they do? And like what you were saying with lavender, I'm learning that you can use lavender because I had my eldest daughter, she is allergic to mosquito bites.
mm,
She literally swells up. So I'm learning too that I can use that to
yeah.
help with that. But I didn't know that it helps with the mood, it helps with colds.
Mhm.
But at the same time, too, there's still so much more to learn about these essential oils that
Yes.
are very effective. I can actually say they're very effective.
Well, I love that you're having such positive experiences with them because, yes, they are such easy swaps for so many things. Just a tip, if you guys do get stuffy again, one of my favorite ways to use it is to use something like Breathe, for example, which is a doTERRA blend, or peppermint, and just put a few drops in the corner of the shower when you get in there, and the steam helps it naturally release. So it's kind of like you're showering in a big diffuser, and it helps really clear out the airways.
Wow, we're definitely going to have you to get us a list of get us to your website, because like here in Florida, whenever you were saying there in Minnesota you have mosquitoes, here in Florida we consider the mosquito is our bird because they're everywhere,
Yeah.
and so it's so hard. We spend a lot of money trying to diffuse and get rid of all of these insects. So I mean, I know we're not here to talk about the insects, but I mean, this is all important because we're
Yeah.
all dealing with these issues, the symptoms. I mean, and we're just getting started, with your time with us. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is
And
good.
it's
Then on top of that, we have everyday stressors too.
Yeah, true.
absolutely,
True.
absolutely. And I think, after the world kind of shut down a couple years ago,
Mhm.
it was exciting because more and more people were looking into natural options. They were trying to be more proactive with their health. So it's definitely a great segue into what people want now, and how they're approaching their health with some more natural options. But again, as consumers, we need to make sure that we're doing our research as well, because unfortunately, there are a lot of companies who are like, oh, people want natural products, let's jump on that bandwagon. And so you see a lot of the free and clear stuff or made with essential oils. But unfortunately, we still have to do our research as consumers, because those stuff that looks like it's natural, it's called greenwashing, that they're able to get away with it because there's different marketing loopholes, and essential oils aren't actually even regulated in the United States. So when you find a really great deal on oils, for example, it could say 100% pure, but it could have as little as 5% of the actual pure oil in there.
So how do you know you're getting the real thing?
Yeah, so I always encourage people to do their research. Like if you're going to go to a big box store and find oils on the shelf there, I always say, like, look into that company.
Okay.
There's a lot of them who are not going to be able to give you their third party testing or anything like that. Our family has used doTERRA in our house for now 6 years.
Mhm.
And the reason why I trusted them so much is because they're super transparent. So you can actually go to a website called source2u.com, and you can find out all of their testing information, the high standards that they set for it. And when you have an actual bottle of doTERRA in your hand, there's a lot number on the bottom. And you can go to that website, put that lot number in, and you can see all the third party testing for that specific batch that you're holding.
Wow. That's
So,
good.
yeah.
Right.
So, what tools can we use to help our children manage their emotions and their own personal stress?
Absolutely. So essential oils are huge in our house. I love how you said that your kids love it because they're able to pick their own scents. We do that in our house too. My son and daughter, they love sleeping in the same room, and we allow them to usually pick what oil they want to put in at night. Now, of course, there's good ones like lavender, blends like Serenity that are great for sleep. For some reason, my son's favorite is kumquat. I don't know why, but I'm like, if you want to use that, like all the more power to you. So that's a huge one that we use. And we have it diffusing in our house all the time, especially ones to help reduce stress and anxiousness. But the other thing that we've started doing more recently, I guess, would be really pairing those with other resources that we can do. So during my healing process, the things that I was learning on how to manage my emotions and moods better, I started applying to my kids. So we started talking about when our bodies are starting to get in certain situations where maybe we're angry or we're sad or we're scared or we just have way too much energy. What we did as a family, we sat around and we had sheets that kind of describe each emotion. And we just talked about it as a family of like, okay, when we're feeling sad, what are some things that we can do to calm our body and mind? And we all came up with ideas. So it could be as simple as, I'm going to go cuddle with a stuffed animal. I'm going to use an essential oil. I'm going to take a walk around the house. I'm going to listen to some happy music. And so we started really instilling that in them instead of telling them like, you shouldn't be feeling this way. Or why are you upset about that? Because they're little humans and their world revolves around those little things. They don't revolve around bills and the stresses that we have as adults. And so we really need to nurture that and really give them these tools of, hey, when we're feeling this way, it's okay to feel those emotions, but here are some ways that we can handle it a little better. Here are some ideas. And so again, we really pair that with like the natural products and then using those natural or safe resources to help apply those tools at an early age. So later on in life, when they're dealt with, unfortunate circumstances or rejection or traumas, they're able to already have those tools in their toolbox that they can apply right away versus going to possibly something like a survival resource where it's more damaging, like, it's a little extreme, but like drinking or drugs or shopping addictions or something along those lines.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you when you was talking there, why it is so important for us to learn and these tools and resources as parents. But can you just elaborate a little bit on parenting? How does it help in really controlling our kids? The
Yeah,
benefits of that.
absolutely. Well, again, I think it's a whole family kind of evolve that we have to do. So we all need to start paying attention to our emotions and kind of when we're starting to get what I call high or low activated. There's a term called the window of tolerance. It was developed by Dan Siegel, who's a professor, a clinical professor, and it's really how to track our arousal. And I think as adults, which has shown up a lot in the last couple of years, our emotions can get really high and either being, angry and frustrated to, just really sad and depressed. And so a lot of times, I know adults will kind of shove that down, say, this feels uncomfortable. I don't want to feel this way right now. So we're just going to avoid it. So what I did is I started realizing when my kids, for example, if they were bickering or they were doing something that I told them not to, or they wouldn't do something that I was telling them not to, I started leaning in and kind of tuning into my own body before I reacted. And I could tell that, oh, I'm starting to get anxious, starting to get really frustrated. And instead of just yelling at them and saying, why are you guys not doing this? I can take a pause and kind of reframe it because again, kids, they do what we do, right? Like they're little sponges. And I hear some of the stuff my daughter says sometimes, and I'm like, oh, did I say that? Like, is she just picking up, different phrases and things that I said? So as parents, because when I was going through my own healing journey and talking to moms, a lot of them would say, ones who had older kids would say, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known this stuff because I feel like my kids probably thought all I did was yell at them. Or moms now are like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful because I'm at my wit's end. I mean, especially with working from home and if they were in distance learning and, all those different kind of factors that came in. And it's really a way to kind of acknowledge the children and also a way as a parent to kind of regulate yourself so that you can act appropriately, so that you're not feeling that mom guilt afterwards.
Yeah. And then too, I know you can also elaborate on how it affects the generation, breaking that generational cycle
Yes.
from yelling and just being calm instead of, being proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my biggest things. And when I was going again through my healing journey, I felt a huge pull from God that I was supposed to be sharing this message, that I was supposed to make something kind of out of this bad situation. Like there was some good to come through to it. And, as I was kind of digging through my own stuff, I had a great childhood. My parents are very loving and they're very supportive in many ways. And I could also see how emotions and mental health stuff weren't necessarily talked about. They were kind of just shoved under the rug. And then I saw how that happened on later in life with me and the patterns that I was developing. So when something bad would happen, I would become an over functioner. I would just start doing, and I would avoid the emotion. And then it would hit me months later about or years later, like, oh, wait a minute, like this actually did affect me. And so, especially with the way of the world and everything that's happened the last couple of years, it's so important for us to nurture our kids and make sure that we're having those open conversations. And I'm so proud that there are a lot of changes happening with mental health conversations. More people are coming out about going to therapy and it's becoming more normalized, which is amazing, but we still have a long way to go. Right now in Minnesota, the Minneapolis school district, the teachers are on strike. And one of the reasons is because they want more mental health services for children. So again, we're making strides, but if we can start in our own home and start really communicating with our kids and making it comfortable for them to talk about, we are going to be able to make that generational change.
So good.
So what are some ways that us as adults can go ahead and start managing our stress?
Yeah. So again, really tuning into it, which is hard for a lot of people. I will say that I was very hesitant to it, but again, kind of tracking to see how your body's reacting. So you can kind of start tracking, like, what are my thoughts when I'm in this kind of situation or emotion? What are my body movements? What are my body urges? Are any of my senses heightened or depleted a little bit while I'm feeling this specific way? So really being able to lean in on that. And then you can also figure out, like, what are my triggers? Is it when I'm in certain circumstances or situations or around certain people that this is starting to come up? Because we all get stressed, right? I found a study the other day from Gallup in 2019, 55% of Americans said that they encountered stress daily. And that was 20 or 30%, 20% higher than anywhere else in the world. And obviously that has increased probably a lot over the last couple of years. So again, we need to be able to kind of tune into where we are and then start using those resources ourselves. Because I think a lot of us as adults, especially again in the culture that we live in, for example, it's very much like, oh, you had a bad day, go open that bottle of wine. Oh, you had a bad week, like go make a couple drinks, so we're kind of already taught to manage our stress in more destructive ways. Not saying that you can't drink or anything, but when we use it to numb out, that's the hard part. And that's the thing that we want to get away from and teach our kids how to use healthy and safe tools. And the more that we do it, again, they're sponges, so they're going to be able to see it. Now, of course, you can bring in the natural products too, essential oils, having them diffusing and eliminating toxins like air fresheners and candles and aerosol sprays. I mean, a bottle of Febreze has about 83 chemicals in it, and we're spraying that all over, right? When people want their house to smell good. Yeah.
Really do.
Yeah, well, we have to think about, like, all those chemicals are getting ingested too. And so we want to make sure that we're taking care of our body internally and externally, because toxins can also very much affect our mental and emotional health, because it's giving us brain fog, and it could be doing a lot of hormone imbalances, which is obviously huge for women. That's a whole nother subject, but really eliminating those toxins can help balance out our hormones a lot better, which then can result in less stress and better moods.
Now, I want to ask you one quick question as well. We've covered the kids. We covered the home. Now, when it comes to the bedroom, as far as relaxing, because once we've put, as moms, we put the kids to bed, it's our time. A lot of times that's our wind down time, is once we hit that bed. So what is the best essential oil to use for sleeping and for the bedroom?
Yeah. So of course, lavender, which is a very common one that people go to because again, it's in a lot of things.
Mhm.
Now, I will tell you the first time that I smelled pure lavender, I was a little taken back because it smells very different than the synthetic lavender that I was used to. And I am a recovering Bath and Body Works hoarder. I loved their soap so much. I would stock up on them when they had a sale. So when I smelled lavender the first time, I was like, I think there's something wrong with this bottle. This doesn't smell right. But again, it was just getting used to the actual pure smell of lavender. And so that's a great one. And what I always tell people is if you have a diffuser in your room, start it about 20 minutes before you're about to go to bed. And
Okay.
so really make sure that it's kind of filling up that space, because the more of a routine that we can have too with bed, the more that our body is going to be noticing like, oh, it's time to go to bed. Like we're starting to relax and to unwind. When we don't have a routine and we just expect to fall asleep like that, it typically doesn't happen. The ones that we use in our room a lot too, we actually use 4 different ones. One of them is Serenity, which has a lot of lavender in it, but also has a lot of other great oils in there too to promote restful sleep. Balance, which is the grounding blend. So that one again is going to help create a tranquil, calm environment. Breathe, which is one for, helping clear out the airways so that we can sleep a little better because we're able to breathe better. I have heard a lot of great success stories in case someone is looking for a way to sleep with their partner again because of snoring. It has saved some marriages. And then also On Guard, which is the protective blend, which is really great for our immune system, but also helps purify the air. So we actually put a few drops of each of those in there. And it just creates a really great environment. Now you can always apply it too. So if you don't have a diffuser, you can apply it topically as well. So you can apply it over your heart for more of the emotional needs. You can put it a drop or 2 in your hands, rub them together, and then take a couple deep breaths from your cupped hands, or you could put them on the bottom of your feet as well. And that's a great way to get it into your system.
Wow.
I need to
Yes.
try the one for snoring because I snore really bad.
She cuts down a lot of
Ever
trees.
since I was a kid, I've always snored really bad.
You
So I've got
definitely
to do
need to try
something.
some. Yeah, you need to try some Breathe, because it sounds like, between the stuffiness and if snoring is an issue.
Allergies, year around allergies.
Yes, and a
Your
great thing,
husband will appreciate that.
a great mix for technically I'm supposed to say seasonal threats is lemon, lavender, and peppermint is really good for allergies, aka seasonal threats that I'm supposed to say for compliance. Just don't turn me.
Everyone that's listening and watching, please, I hope you have paper and pen. We should have said that at the beginning, but please, you can watch this as many times as you need. And I know at the end we'll have you to tell us your websites and everything, but Vanessa, I'll let you take it from there. This is really good, really good.
Miss Angie, I want to say thank you so much for joining us, and it's been a pleasure and an honor, and I hope everyone learned as much as we did about the essential oils and how to manage ourselves with stress.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, for having me on. I was really excited to be on, especially a mom and daughter duo. Doing a podcast, I just think that's so special. And with kind of the mission that I have to changing the conversation and the generational cycle, I was really honored to be your guest here.
Well, if you will, it's been an honor and a pleasure, because like I said, we've learned so much. You have given so much information. But will you please tell our listeners and those watching how to get this information and to follow you as well?
Absolutely. So if you are interested in learning more about kind of the techniques that we use with our kids, or just more information about essential oils, you can go to my website, theparenttoolbox.info. And there I have a lot of classes. I have some full-length classes if you want to watch them. Otherwise, I also have what's called mini tools, which are kind of broken down little bite-sized pieces of education as well. Through there, you can contact me with any questions. I also offer free wellness consults to kind of discuss like what your needs are, because everyone's journey is different. And you can also follow me on Instagram at The Parent Toolbox.
Super.
Thank you one more time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I
Yeah.
will be using a lot of these
Yeah,
essential
we'll be in
oils.
touch.
Yeah.
Good, good. I love it. Thank you,
Uh,
ladies.
Thank you. And to those of you that are watching or listening, please don't forget to check out our social media outlets. And please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, as we don't want you to miss out on any of our special guests or great topics. And we want to thank you all again for tuning in.